What are emotions really? Well, we know that the body itself is an energy field. In fact, we know that everything in the universe is really ultimately energy, thanks to the work of people like Albert Einstein. If you could take your hand and focus on that hand with a big microscope, if you were to zoom in about 100 million power magnification, you might be looking face to face with a single individual atom. And if you were to look inside that atom, you'd see that there's really nothing in there but empty space and some little infinitesimally tiny energies that are zipping around at the speed of light. And that is still your hand. That is what we are. We are beings of pure energy. And we know that thought is an energy. Think about this. Have you ever sat in the back of a boring meeting and you're staring, fixated on the back of someone's head a number of rows up? If you continue to stare at the back of their head, what will happen? Most people have had this experience. After a minute or so, that person will turn around and look right into your eyes. How do they know that you're looking at them? Good question. So thought is energy. We like to think that the thoughts that we think stay inside of our heads, but I believe that those thoughts are energy and that they radiate out from us. And that's how sometimes you can tell what other people are thinking. We know that emotions are also energy. And it appears that each emotion has its own specific frequency of vibration. So that if you're feeling an emotion of anger, you're feeling a different frequency, a different energy, than if you were feeling an emotion of sadness. And grief is different than that, and shame is different from that. So all emotions have their own specific vibrational frequency. Let's take a look for a moment at some Kirlian photographs. Now, Kirlian photography was developed back in 1939 in the Ukraine by a man named Semyon Kirlian. If we look at this picture on the right side, we can see a Kirlian photograph of the fingertips of a living human being. Now, Kirlian photography is not done with any kind of light at all, but instead, what it seems to record is the energy field of living things. This has been studied extensively in Russia and other countries. The fingers of healers will exhibit a more powerful, more intense energy field. But my favorite Kirlian photograph of all is the one on the left, where scientists took a leaf from a tree. They cut the leaf in half, threw the top half of the leaf away, and made a Kirlian photograph of the remaining bottom half of the leaf. And yet, this Kirlian photograph shows the ghost image of the missing top half of that leaf. And if you look at this closely, it almost looks like lightning in there. You may have read stories about people who die, who leave their body, and suddenly they find themselves looking down on their body in the hospital room or at the site of their car accident. Very interesting. If you've ever been to a funeral and you look in the casket and you see the person lying there, it's obvious that something has gone out of them, something has changed. It's believed that people and animals lose a certain amount of weight at the moment of death. For human beings, they say it's 21 grams. For birds and other animals, it's lighter, much lighter, depending on the size of the animal. What's going on there? Why is that happening? Well, I believe that's because that inner essence, that intelligence that makes us who we are, leaves the body at that point, but it lives on. And it is in that energetic realm, in that energy body, where our emotional baggage actually resides.